NotebookLM just became available within Google's anti-gravity, and it changes everything. Most people use these tools just as a chatbot, but by combining anti-gravity with NotebookLM, you can turn any research into a complete AI system that works for you 24/7 without the expensive API costs, and create custom apps, websites, and dashboards. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to unlock capabilities that 99% of users don't even know exist, so you can save time, avoid costly mistakes, and make more money. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Jack Roberts. I built and sold my last tech startup with over 60,000 customers, and now I run a 7-figure AI automation business. So if you haven't already, grab that coffee and let's dive straight in. So Google's anti-gravity can build apps, websites, AI systems, and it's powered by the world's most powerful models. But NotebookLM can research anything. It can turn content and research into audio. You can learn anything. It essentially is like an unlimited knowledge base. And obviously, as it's no surprise, NotebookLM is exploding right now. So Microsoft Word is for documents, Excel is for spreadsheets, and anti-gravity is for building software. It's the best way to understand what this thing does. Now, what happens when we combine Google's anti-gravity with Google's NotebookLM? Well, it turns out quite a lot, actually. So this is the way I want you to think about this. NotebookLM is like the reader, okay? It understands, it reads, it holds massive context. You're talking 40, 50 different documents, resources, YouTube videos, everything. And it also thinks. And then you've got anti-gravity, which in this relationship is like the builder. So it builds software, it builds systems, it connects things, it can connect to anything. Like, it's really crazy. And it also is kind of like your command center, if you will. Now, here's the problem, is that if you're using massive files in anti-gravity, maybe for your own personal operating system or you're building things, it costs tokens every time the AI has to read those files. And that can lead to bad performance and actually cost you money because you burn through your usage and you need to spend a lot more. But when you connect these two things together, anti-gravity and NotebookLM, we not only solve this problem, we actually unlock incredible capabilities. And I'm not exaggerating, because you can create unlimited notebooks programmatically within anti-gravity. You can use that knowledge for projects that you're working on. You can ask any question about any notebook that you have in one chat. You can create infographics, slide decks, reports, even do deep research and create audio overviews and a lot more, all from anti-gravity. And you can do this all at scale. And anti-gravity itself now benefits from this kind of, within the realms of a NotebookLM, this infinite context, unlimited deep research agents that happen outside of anti-gravity, which is going to save you money and increase your performance. And also, I should say that you can upload these documents to anti-gravity and actually add those to your own notebooks within NotebookLM. Now, I'm going to show you the incredible capabilities across 5 levels of difficulty, with each new skill being even better than the last one. But none of this will mean anything to you unless you understand the ABCs of NotebookLM. I'll put timestamps down below, so feel free to skip this bit if you've seen it before, but this context is going to make you a power user of NotebookLM and give you amazing context for this video. And if you've never seen anti-gravity before, I'd encourage you to watch this video on screen to get up to date with the basics. But even if you don't, I'm going to explain everything so you'll understand the software and you'll be ready to rock and roll. So NotebookLM is Google's main software to understand any kind of resource. It is very cool. You access it at notebooklm.google.com. I'll put a link down below. And the way it works is you can, as you probably know, create notebooks, which is awesome. So one of the things that we can do is drop in any resources that we want to. It could be articles, could be YouTube, could even be from your own Google Drive or copied text. So for example, if I was on Jack Roberts YouTube channel and I wanted to learn about anti-gravity skills, I could copy that link, head over to NotebookLM, drop it in there, really easy, and then I literally just hit enter, which is cool, and it adds that now as a resource for me. But one cool thing you can do in NotebookLM is do fast research. So I could say, hey, teach me about anti-gravity skills. And what NotebookLM will do is actually go on the internet and compile like a list of 30, 40 plus different resources on that topic. And then effectively what you can do is chat with it. So, hey, could you give me a brief TLDR of anti-gravity skills? So essentially, anytime that you want to learn anything, all you do is add the resources in or get NotebookLM to do that research, and you can have a beautiful conversation with it in the window. But it doesn't just stop there. You can export this as an audio overview, a video overview, mind maps, reports, flashcards, quiz, infographics, slide decks, and even tables with data. With a NotebookLM, you can actually customize the way that it speaks to you by clicking on these toggles here, and you can say, hey, do you want a conversational goal, style, or role? You can click custom and then give it these examples there, which is awesome. And then with a NotebookLM, if I just want to have a conversation, say with a couple of things, I can untoggle those resources and then just have a conversation with anti-gravity. But the TLDR of it is that it makes learning and creating resources a million times easier. And not only that, you can actually chat with your own notebooks within Gemini itself. But the TLDR of the platform is that you can ingest PDFs, documents, files, research, anything from your drive, any research, put it all together in one really big database and ask it any questions and then turn that into any number of resources to learn, presentations, you literally name it. So the first level of our 5-level system here is to actually be able to create these notebooks from within anti-gravity. And one of the reasons why you may want to do that is because you can connect anti-gravity to any project you're working on and you can spin up an infinite number of them. So we could say to anti-gravity, hey, I want to learn about creating blue bottles. What would be the 10 topics I need to know? And then we can get anti-gravity to create for 10 expert notebooks on NotebookLM that we can then query and have conversations and bring into any project that we do. But before we do that, the first thing we have to do is actually install it and connect it to anti-gravity. And the way we're going to do that is by using something called MCP. So if you haven't already, go ahead and download anti-gravity and welcome to the future. Now, when you open up anti-gravity, it will look a little bit something like this. Now, I've created a random notebook here. You can do that by file at the top, click on open folder, and then you just create a brand new folder and it'll open up that. And that's going to be our workspace. But what we need to do is basically connect it via MCP. So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and all it lets you do is connect anti-gravity or any app to any other app. I always use the analogy of universal remote control because it's really awesome. So if I connect it to Notion, for example, which you can access by these dots here, MCP servers, I can type in Notion, I can connect to Notion, I can create articles in Notion, I can do anything. So it lets the intelligence within anti-gravity connect to anything. So the question is, well, how do we connect to NotebookLM? Because as you'll notice, there's nothing in the NotebookLM store. So how on earth do we actually physically do that? Well, what we're going to do is give it a beautiful prompt. So to do that, I'm going to shoot over to my school community and grab this link. I'm going to put this link down below for you as well, just so that you can just copy and paste this and get it done. And you don't need to worry about the faffage or all that kind of stuff. So we're in Notion. All you're going to do is come down and copy this. So what this is all coming from is a GitHub repo, which is awesome. So let's come back over here, come back to the agent, and then we're going to paste this in. Now, obviously within this, you have many different models. You can choose Claude Sonnet or Gemini or whatever you like, which is really freaking cool. And the really decent thing is when we're connecting to NotebookLM, by the way, is that NotebookLM is powered by Gemini 3. Like it's one of its really super powerful model. So we get lots of cool stuff. So I'm going to help you install and set up the NotebookLM MCP server. Let me start by checking your system, and then it starts to run and do many different things. Now, if you don't have this installed, it will install that for you. So if it starts asking to install things, it'll just do that for you instantaneously. If it's consistently asking for permission, I always recommend that you keep that on initially. But one of the things you can do is click on anti-gravity at the top. Yeah, we're happy with that. Anti-gravity settings, and then under here, you can actually determine the frequency at which you want it to permit and do things. So when you're comfortable with its review policy, you can do always proceed or ask your questions for your agent, for your browser, and for everything. So let's come back off these anti-gravity settings and come back over. Awesome. So it's found the MCP current config file. Let me check its current contents. So we're going to allow it for this conversation and then just let it install. You'll notice now that it's been installed successfully, but we need to update our MCP configuration. What does that mean? So when you click on Manage MCP Servers, you can see a list of all the MCP servers that we've got here, right? And you can see NotebookLM MCPs there, but we need to connect it, which is awesome. So as you can see, it's actually opened up a brand new browser. Now, the reason why it's doing this is because I basically asked it up to sign in and authorize. So the way we're connecting to MCP is via the browser credentials. So what this is going to do is open up a brand new window, get us to sign into NotebookLM, and then that will enable us to connect. And as you can see, it's now opened up NotebookLM in the browser, which is great. And the little blue hue, by the way, is what anti-gravity does when it opens up a browser to check various different things. And so the only thing we need to do now with anti-gravity is go over to this website, actually log in, which is going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Beautiful. And after signing in, it's now complete. And you can see this in our Manage MCP servers. And look at this, guys. I've got everything here. If you don't see it, just hit refresh and then it will repopulate, because what's happened here is anti-gravity has added it to what we call our raw config, which is where all the data sits that describes what we're connected to, which is freaking awesome. And we have access to all this stuff. Now, what it's done is grab the tokens basically from the web browser, and now it's connected to our own NotebookLM. Now, the first thing we want to do really is leverage the capabilities we've got. So in level 1, what we're going to do is open up a brand new chat. And what we're going to do is, first of all, and I encourage everyone to do this, is if whatever the bottleneck is in your business or the thing you're working on, is describe to anti-gravity what that thing is. And let's ask for 5 topics of areas by the following. So check this out. Hey there, dude. I am trying to learn how to grow on YouTube. If I wanted to learn to grow on YouTube, what would be the 5 areas of knowledge that I would really have to nail down to make sure that I succeed? Give me maybe like 3 or 4 that are specific and 1 or 2 that are hyper specialized. And all I want is 5 topics, a topic and a little bit of an explanation about that. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is chatting with anti-gravity to get 5 different topics. Again, I could have asked for 50 50 topics. It doesn't really matter. So content and strategy, audience psychology, packaging, thumbnails and titles. I agree that's like really important. Retention, it's really important. YouTube algorithm SEO, blah, blah, blah. So in the old world, I would have had to go onto YouTube and said, right, YouTube SEO, copy a video, come over here. I have to do all this stuff. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to get this now to create for us 5 different workbooks and research within NotebookLM. Awesome, dude. I want you to use my NotebookLM MCP. And what I would like you to do is to create me 5 different notebooks on that. And I want to use the deep research function on each of those 5 topics. So I have 5 different notebooks that cover all those different areas. Okay, bam. Awesome. And how do you know that it's working? Well, what you're going to see in this chat window is the NotebookLM MCP happening. Perfect. I'll create 5 separate notebooks using NotebookLM's deep research function, one for each of those critical things. MCP tool, NotebookLM. And look at it's triggering up, bam, bam, bam. So this is what I mean when I say it can programmatically do all of this stuff. Now, if we were in a folder that had all the context about everything, you can just see like, it's almost like Lego, how you can build all these things together and create anything you want to. So now we're going to have 5 different notebooks spun up on those topics that we're then going to be able to ask questions about for whatever we want. Now, as you can see, guys, it's now come down. So check this out. Excellent. I've kicked off the deep research for all 5 YouTube 5 growth topics. Each research will take about 3 to 5 minutes. I will gather around 40 high quality sources from across the web. YouTube content strategy and audience, YouTube packaging, thumbnails and titles, YouTube retention, storytelling, algorithm, and SEO. I should also add, by the way, that I could have specified this. I could have said, I only want to hear from creators like Ed Lawrence, really cool guy, lives out in Dubai, by the way, really decent dude. I could have been as specific as I wanted to. I could have had all my context on left about me, which I recommend that you do. We call this business context, your business brain that has all the information about who you are, your customers, and that could influence. So we get dynamic research based on your specific business. This is insane. So it's still on this sort of stuff, but if I want to click on one as a quick, for instance, and I open it up, you can see now that it's already doing the deep research for us, which is crazy. And I had to open up a different web browser because my default is actually a different one than Chrome these days. I left the Chrome family, I must admit. But if I come back now to the homepage, I should see 5 different things. And look at this, guys. We've got 5 YouTube packaging, thumbnail titles, YouTube retention, storytelling. So it's created for us as many notebooks as you want to. I said 5. I could easily have said as many as I wanted to. And this will create for us now beautiful, wonderful research on this stuff. And look at it's even given the prompt for its YouTube content strategy, audience psychology, understanding viewer intent, niche selection, creating content. Again, if I gave it more contextual information about me, it would have been even more specific. Now, the other thing I want to do here is create a skill to leverage this MCP. To do that, I'm just in the community. I'm going to grab my anti-gravity skill resource here, which is going to be the skill creator. So a skill is just going to be something that we use very consistently within anti-gravity. I'm going to put a link for this down below. So don't worry, all these resources will be available for you so you can just grab them. But basically, this is just going to be a new feature came in anti-gravity recently, and it describes ways in which we want it to act. So we basically get it to do something very repeatable, very specific. And whenever it accesses that MCP, it can follow a real cool set of principles. So let's come over to anti-gravity real quick. Hey, dude, I would like you to go ahead and create for me a skill based on the below information for accessing the MCP with NotebookLM, please. Also be aware, I'm going to show you all the different things that it can do. I want you to create a skill based on the below. Cool. So say below skill template, which is cool. And then I'm going to say NotebookLM capabilities. Cool. And then let's come over and just grab that. But again, come down here, come to MCP servers. Let's go to manage MCP servers, come to NotebookLM and copy all this stuff. Now, one of the reasons why I want to create a skill here is because I want to have a lot of control over how this actually behaves. So for example, there's many things it can do with a NotebookLM, but I want to be really specific. So for example, I might say, whenever you're creating notebooks, always reference the About Jack section to make sure it's specific. So if I had a file on the left now that said, who is Jack? And it's I think Jack is an entrepreneur, or Jack likes to drink coffee and has white jumpers, whatever the thing is, we can be specific about, you need to reference these files before going here. So for example, if I said that my niche is helping businesses with AI systems, for example, one of the things that this would have done when it went to NotebookLM is say, great, I want you to find YouTube niches about business, and I wouldn't have to keep repeating the context because we actually codify that into an anti-gravity skill. And you can do that really conversationally by just chatting to it in the window. And then meanwhile, if I come back over here, you can see now it's actually got 38 different sources. So at the moment, one of the limitations is it won't automatically import it, but there's 2 quick ways around that. One is you just click the import button yourself. The second though, if I come back over, what I can actually do here is say, hey dude, it's created all 5 of the different resources. What I would like you to do is to go ahead and import them on all 5 of the notebooks. And what I'd like you to add to your skill.md is that whenever you create these notebooks in the future, after a few minutes, call it 5 minutes or so, I want you to manually open them up in the browser and basically import all of them. So I don't need to do any further actions. Beautiful. So you see now how valuable the skill is because we explain it once, we throw it in skill.md, which is amazing. And then anti-gravity and NotebookLM, it basically codifies how I want it to behave. It's got the tools, but it's me saying this is how I want you to go ahead and use those tools. Kind of think of it like it's instruction manual. So now we've covered exactly how to create infinite numbers of notebooks that are specific and tailored to you without you doing anything apart from yapping to anti-gravity. We've covered how we put those into the skill. But the next thing now is how we actually go ahead and leverage and use these skills in any kind of project or something that we're building within anti-gravity. Because when building them is one thing, but then utilizing them within a project or a chat interface is something completely different. Now, one of the things that I want to do alongside this, as you can see, it's just executing all my requests now in terms of opening up the browsers and things, is what we can do is in anti-gravity, and one of the main benefits of anti-gravity is the fact that we can head over to the agent manager, which means we can have multiple agents working on this project at the same time, which is awesome. So I'm going to click on Open Agent Manager. So all you do is you start a new conversation, you select the notebook you want to chat with, and then this is an additional agent working on the same thing. So here's the thing I want you to do. Hey dude, what I would like you to do on the left-hand side is have what I call NotebookLM brain resources, or call it something cooler than that. I just want a quick doc that explains basically all of the different notebooks that I have access to on the left-hand side. Awesome. So I'm going to send him off to do his thing, which is awesome. So you can see now on the left-hand side, I've got NotebookLM. I have one. Where is it gone now, actually? Here you go. He is now working on that for us in the background, and it's using that MCP tool to grab a list. Awesome. Then I'm going to spin up another agent to do something slightly different for us. And I should also call out, guys, that it's already brought in all the resources. I mean, check this out. So 49 resources for content strategy and audience psychology, 48 resources, 49 resources. This is crazy. So for example, if I now come back over to Google Chrome, you can see now that it's basically built in 50 different resources. Look at this. This is crazy. And if I go back to the homepage now, let's see it's done it for everything, for all these 5. There we go. You can see. So best way to test this is now just to ask it a question. So what I'm going to do is come over here and give it something like, hey there, dude, I'm starting a YouTube channel speaking to, basically, I want to talk about English Springer Spaniels. Could you do me a favor, query NotebookLM and find the best, most relevant advice to help me start that channel, how to make my first videos, and maybe any tips that would be really relevant for my particular situation. I have the capacity to create 3 videos a week. Awesome. And whilst that's working in the background here, I'm actually going to create a folder on the left-hand side. I'm going to call this new file. I'm going to call this one jack.md. All right. And then what I think I'm going to do is within this skill is describe about me. Hey there, my name is Jack. I have a YouTube channel talking about the English Springer Spaniel. I have the capacity to do 3 videos a week. I am pretty bad at communicating on camera. My passion to monetize this is to fund the Springer Spaniel Rescue Center charity. That's my whole goal and objective. Whatever it is, right? So I've given it some information now about me and what I want to do, which is awesome. And then what I want to do actually is basically tell anti-gravity, this skill, that whenever it's referencing NotebookLM, it needs to understand and reference that skill. So what I'm going to do here as well is we're going to go back over to the agent manager so we can call up another AI tool, and I'm going to give it something interesting. So let's come to NotebookLM, which is our thing, and we click on this plus. Hey dude, I want you to update the skill on NotebookLM and just basically say whenever you reference NotebookLM, one of the things that you must do is check the information within this folder so that it is contextual, okay? And then what we do, guys, is we just do a shift at, and what we can do is click jackmd. So that tells it the file that I'm talking about. So what I've told this guy to do, remember, how do you toggle between these 2 things? Anti-gravity has 2 windows, okay? That's all you need to know. You have the agent manager where all the agents live, okay? And you have the editor. The editor is what we're doing here, everything we've been using for most of the video. And then the agent manager is this beautiful thing here where we can chat to all of these different things at the same time. And again, I could in theory be working on 6 or 7 different projects. And some people say that people in white jumpers can't multitask, but we'll see about that. So we come back over, come to editor, and you can see now we're going to have updated this skill, which is really freaking cool. All right. So now let's come down and have a look at everything that's happening within this window. And one of the things that you can see, guys, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to save that jackmd. Want to make sure we've got that sort of stuff done. And there's our resources. Again, all the tabs just appear there, which is great. And as you can see, guys, after that question, we can see the MCP's been basically asked the question and the answer we got back from the NotebookLM. If I scroll down here, we've got all of the advice. So we're niche down, we've got weekly content mix, hybrid funnel strategy, hook mastery, thumbnail psychology, build trust and connection, algorithm focus, and an example schedule for the weeks, which is freaking amazing. And we got all of that from our incredible resources with the NotebookLM. So then I might say something like, hey there, dude, do me a favor. Could you make an action plan on the left-hand side called YouTube strategy for me based on this information? Awesome. And again, we can go back and forth, ask further clarificatory questions. We could even, if we want to, get anti-gravity itself to build and develop a strategy by speaking to the notebook and actually have these self-contained iterative cycles where the AI here is querying that AI and the resources to build out the plan, which is going to be incredible. And just like that, I've now got this beautiful YouTube strategy down here on the left-hand side that I can follow and advise based on the information from anti-gravity. So now we're having full-blown conversations with our notebooks. We're creating them. We're having conversations to inform strategy. This is the bit now where we can take it to another level, which is why level 3 is about using the resources and knowledges that we have within NotebookLM to actually create and build something really interesting, to build an application within anti-gravity. So here, what I'm going to ask it to do as an example, and of course we could use our classic BLAST framework for building anything within anti-gravity, but I really just want to showcase the capabilities here. So I'm going to ask the model, I'm going to say, hey, I would like you to build me an interactive one-pager, HTML, based on all the information that you can get from the notebooks. Specifically, what I'd like it to do is be interactive and just be as helpful as possible on all of this information. It should be something I can look at, visually beautiful, engaging, phenomenal. Okay, fantastic. Now, as we know from every video I've done on the channel, we can make these dashboards look gorgeous. We can do dashboards that are connected to CRMs. We can do basically dashboards and websites that are interactive and kind of like animated. There's so many things we can do. The capability I want to double click on here, out of respect for your time, is the fact that we're leveraging the notebook knowledge to build something. I want you to know how to leverage that notebook knowledge. Essentially, you can build it into any part of the application that you like. So I didn't just want to build like an app. I want to build something based on all the cool information that we've got from NotebookLM, which we can now do via anti-gravity. And what's really interesting here, guys, if you actually come in and double click on it, you can see the kind of queries that we've given it here, right? So take a look at this. So one of the things that we asked is extract specific mathematical formulas, metrics and benchmarks for YouTube growth, outlier ratio, CTR targets and goals, and then we've got the output. Okay, awesome. Well, what else are we asking to? Well, we've got another notebook here. List power words, psychological triggers for titles, what specific combinations of visual elements, faces, arrow, contrast work best. So this is going to be about thumbnails. Awesome. Then we've got another one here, which is going to be about what are the specific engagement techniques to build, blah, blah, blah. You can see it's querying different notebooks with different kinds of questions, and all this knowledge exists there, and we just bring it in when we need to. Wonderful. So now basically anti-gravity's finished designing this and turning this into an interactive dashboard. I could click on this, for instance, right now, which is awesome. And we've got the Springer Spaniel Command Center, Advanced YouTube Strategy and Operating Intelligence System. Cool. Obviously, we could do anything we want to with this design. But the primary goal is 3 videos a week, VSAT watch time, micro niche, which is cool. I can connect this to my YouTube channel. I could do anything. I could scrape. I could do literally a billion things with this. So let's see. We've got the growth lab. So outlier ratio, video views. So let's just say that, I don't know, we just get something like 10,000 video views. Top subscribers could be 22,000. Results ratio, viral outlier detected. Really cool. We've got health check down here, which is cool. So it's a click-through rate. Let's just say that's 8%, which is really, really high. Average view duration, let's just say that it was, I don't know, 52%. Viral profitability. I mean, this is really cool, right? It's based on all the kind of things. And then we've got a little checklist built in. So one-man rule, we can take things off as we go. We can also connect this to Superbase that will just save all these things for us. We could build this out in any way we want to, right? It's really cool. But the cool thing is it's all designed around the entire knowledge base we've got. So basically you can spin up any app or dashboard. The other cool thing you could do if you wanted to, say for example, you're doing some compliance for a business, right? An ISO 9000, whatever compliance. What you could do is do full research for 40, 50 pages, then have that built in and turned to apps. So for example, if I have a page on my website talking about ISO 9000, one of the things I can do is basically say, hey, anti-gravity, go to my ISO 9000 knowledge base and just make sure that everything's accurate. It will pull down the specific questions and then query NotebookLM to make sure that every part of it's accurate based on a knowledge base. So you can see the potential with these connections. So now we found that we can build literally any application connected to anything. Level 4 now is actually about programmatically creating slide decks, presentations, audio overviews, anything. So essentially what we're going to do in level 4 is basically once we've created these beautiful resources, we can now, from the home and comforts of anti-gravity, create pretty much anything we want to that can be created within anti-gravity, within NotebookLM itself. Okay, so this is cool. Why don't we, for example, ask this now. I'm going to say, hey dude, could you do me an audio overview on the YouTube database within NotebookLM around hooks? I want to generate one of the audio overviews for that. And then also, if you can, create me a presentation that I can view also. Thank you. Also, use the NotebookLM MCP to do this. Okay, fantastic. So we've specified it, sent it off. So let me just show you what this looks like in reality. So if I click on this as a for instance, okay, you can create audio overviews. You can create mind maps. You can reports. And basically the MCP is configured in a way that we can do that within anti-gravity. So why is that really cool? Well, it's cool because let's say, for example, that I want to learn about anti-gravity. I want to learn about watches. I want to learn about the Jack Roberts School community and all the cool places that we're meeting up this year. Whatever the thing is, right? I can spill up all these individual scenarios, like from all these resources. Maybe you're moving to Australia or Berlin and you want to learn about the tax. And it's like 10 topics. We can do this programmatically in anti-gravity, turn it into audio overview and have all the files ready for us just to listen to. So you don't even need to come in here and manually click things. And look, generating audio overview. I didn't even, guys, My hands were here. I didn't touch a single key on this keyboard, and it happened almost by magic, except it isn't magic. It happened in anti-gravity, which is crazy. And look, I come back over here, guys. We've got the audio overview that's been requested, the slide deck, which is great. It's like, dude, build me a slide deck, build me an audio overview. We can do this for all the notebooks we create. And remember, we can create like an infinite number of these notebooks. Well, to the extent that NotebookLM will allow you to create like 1 billion. I don't know what the limit is, but you get the idea. As many as you want to. And then this very nicely brings us on to level 5. So level 5 is the ability to take any of the files en masse from your own laptop, computer, and actually create a notebook from them. So for example, you had several meetings with clients and you want to chat to all of them. Or it could be things in your business that you want to chat about later. Literally any files you've got on your computer or any knowledge base local, we can actually upload. And that could be text, it could be anything. So I'll show you exactly how to do that. Cool, so now we're in anti-gravity. Let's have a think how we're going to do this now. So there's a couple of different things. So when it comes to storing this information, we could do many different things. So for example, let's say that I create a random piece of information, like I've got jack.md here, right? And I've got notebook, brain, resources. So how about we try something like this first of all? Hey there, dude, I would like you to create a brand new notebook in NotebookLM, and I want you to add jack.md and notebook_brain_resources as 2 resources within this notebook. Thank you. Awesome. So first I want to show you is that I can literally tell anti-gravity, hey, this is what I want to do, and just add these 2 things to it. And look, it's automatically identified what they are. It's going to add it in and do that for us, meaning that we can essentially take any text we want to and add that into anti-gravity. Okay, so I have successfully created a notebook and added both the resources. So let's go ahead and check if that's true. So we come back over. This guy is just finishing the audio overview, which is awesome. Let's go to the homepage and have a quick look. So if we were to refresh this one real quick, let's see what we've got. All right, give it a hot second. It's reloading. And oh my gosh, I didn't know we wanted to spring this manual. That's a little bit controversial, some might say. All right, we've got it here. It says take a quick look. And we've got jack.md. Hey there, my name is Jack, which is cool. Okay, we like that. We're very familiar with that. And then we've got notebook resources, which is everything we mentioned, which is very, very cool. But what if we had a file that wasn't text? What if it was like a PDF? So let's come down and download this one, for example, and see if it will add that to NotebookLM. So bring this over, click on download. Now, typically speaking, when you, what we call RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, I did like YouTube's like biggest masterclass on it. I'll put it somewhere on the screen for you. But the bottom line, it's basically how you store information. Now, typically, when you RAG documents or text, it's dead easy. But PDFs can be strange. PDFs are weird. But this is why anti-gravity is so cool, because there's no problem. I like to believe there's no problem too big that we can't overcome with the right thinking and strategy and tools. So I've downloaded this PDF, right? I'm going to head back over to anti-gravity. And what I'm going to do, and what I recommend that you do, by the way, is you right click, you click on folder, okay? And in this folder, you could just say something like notebook to add, right? And then you could add a new folder, which is notebook added, right? And essentially what we do is we explain this in Gemini.md about what this is. And essentially, as soon as it's added, you could think of a better naming convention, but you get the idea. When it's finished, you just move it over. So we have got over here notebook to add. So all we're going to do is come over and drop our PDF into anti-gravity, which you can do by grabbing and just simple drop right there. So now it's in the environment, and look at this. We've got all this cool stuff. So I've got anti-gravity skills. I'm going to add it in notebook to add. Sweet. And it's in there. So I'm going to say is, hey there, dude, I want you to add every file within this folder into that notebook for me. And then let's just tag the folder, which is going to be notebook. What did we call it? To add. No, right there. It's got one file in it. And when that's complete, please place the file into this folder. Right. And then we just control and just do notebook added. Okay. So I've just said to the complete folder, and I've just renamed it complete. I don't think you can tag it unless it has a document in it. So let's just now send this one off. So it's got a PDF. So we'll see how anti-gravity processes that for us, which is going to be awesome. And if it doesn't process that, so say for example that you've got something that is like 50 pages long, anti-gravity can actually create a script to basically translate that into text for us, which is really awesome. And you just say, hey, I want you to create me a script for a skill that will transfer it from this into this, and it'll do that for us instantaneously. Okay, so this is really good. So this has struggled now with converting it in PDF. So what anti-gravity is going to do now is actually take it from PDF to text. And you could leave anti-gravity in the background to do this for us. We could also turn this into a skill or a script that would just do it for everything, where it identifies the file type, then based on that file type, goes and does whatever we like to. And then all you do is just grab the files that you want to put into a notebook and you just drop it into the section. And you'll use this for your business. Maybe you've got SOPs that you want to leverage. There's a million different things you can do, whether documents change on a very regular basis. The other cool thing here is that if you're building tools and systems that themselves create documents that you then want to put into notebooks, you can just do this all completely automated with this system. And just like this, guys, what anti-gravity has done, since you can't load a PDF through this method, is converted it to text and then uploaded it, which is awesome. So it's created a Python virtual environment. It's done a lot of crazy stuff, but the TLDR of it is it's all ready to rock and roll. So let's head over to a notebook now and validate that that's happened. And then I've come over, I've refreshed the page, and would you believe it, guys, the anti-gravity skill created PDF. has finally arrived, and we can see all of the information there on the left-hand side. And so generally with this MCP, this is like an unofficial one. In other words, it's not from NotebookLM themselves. If you ever run into any problems like, hey, I can't get this kind of document type, Anti-Gravity can help you troubleshoot that and build a system to make sure you can get any files and documents over there. And if you're not sure how to do something, you can ask the questions and troubleshoot as you go. And so now we've covered exactly how to leverage NotebookLM and combine that with Anti-Gravity. The next thing that we need to do is make sure we're leveraging 100% of Anti-Gravity's capabilities by using its skills, because if we're not using the skills, we're not getting the most out of the platform, and you will develop slower. Now, we can learn how to build these skills by watching this video right here.